Well, good evening or good night. Well, no, I can't say that. I've done this before where I said good night. Anyway, good evening. It's Mike Rondo. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time. So tonight, I'm smoking Sherlock Holmes in my mini Sherlock Holmes pipe, as I like to call it affectionately. I've actually read two. I've read a Study in Scarlet and The Sign of Four of Sherlock Holmes. So I'm kind of in the mood. I almost put the hat on, but I thought for this video I'll pass on that. Tonight I want to talk about a fellow YouTuber who's new to YouTube as well. Probably a little more new to me. I mean, I've done stuff with podcasting and stuff with streaming prior with YouTube, but this is like my first time I did a channel on my own and kind of my own little content type thing. And she's doing the same thing, and she just started out as well. And last week, I think it was last week, when I did my ghost story and I talked about it, I got some good feedback on that. And she said, thank you for sharing, and I'm paraphrasing here, and she wanted to tell her own story of a ghost story, so to speak. So she made a video over the weekend, I believe it was. I think it was Sunday, or it could have been Monday. I'm not sure. And her name is Marissa Wight. Marissa, I hope I said that right. And she just started out, and she does more Halloween paranormal stuff, from what I gather of her channel. And she just did one today on Ed Gein, serial killers, which is pretty cool because serial killers is, like I said, I even have a video on the serial killer called Craig Price. I did that video when I first started, and I'd like to bring the serial killer element back into the channel a bit. I don't know how I'm going to do it. There's a few ways I could go about it, but we'll see. So anyway, she said she wanted to come forward and tell her experience that she had, and I was like, yes, I'm all for it. And I think it was very, I don't want to use the word brave, but it was very, I don't know the word, I guess courageous for her to even come out and say, hey, this happened to me. Because it's very easy, especially on YouTube and whatever, to get ridiculed. Now, it's one thing to be constructive in criticism with the stories or whatever of me, her, or whoever is telling it, but I think it's important for people to come out and say these things and talk about them. I think it's good for the person, to be honest. I think that's the number one thing, is where the person can get it off their chest and feel a little bit better about themselves, and they shouldn't get ridiculed for it, you know. Now, I'm not going to get into details with her story. I think I'll leave the link below so you can go check it out and listen to her story. Hers is very, and I truly believe she experienced something. What that is, I can't say for certain. It's just like my experience. It was, you know, I'm still skeptical of my experience. With her, number one, I wasn't there, so I can't say 100%. The outside skeptic would say, well, it's a fake somehow or whatever. But when you listen and watch her video, she's very genuine. So something happened. I don't know what it is. She's got more to her story she wishes to share, and I look forward to that as well. So, pretty cool that I made a video and she ended up making a video, and hopefully, and I know someone, and I can't remember who it was, made a comment today. I can't think of it right off here. I could look on my phone, but I'm not going to do that. Where they said they want to share their story as well. So hopefully we can keep this going and pass it on and get people to share their stories, because they're very intriguing and interesting. Now, I don't know what to make of her story, other than I believe her. She experienced, just like me, I experienced something. I just don't know what the hell it is. And I was going to do another video on it, but I'll do a video. I'll kind of get into this as well, where, you know, her story, it was more with audio, so it's hard to I mean, there's a million ways you could say, oh, it could have been this, that, or the other. But the way she explains the story, and the way she, she even gets goosebumps on her arms when she tells the story. So she experienced something pretty, I would say, scary, to say the least. Me, where I experienced my, whatever it was, as I said in my video, I believe I said this, where I was more or less in the way of whatever this thing was, this entity or whatever, a ghost, whatever you want to call it. Psychosis, as I like to call it. I think I was making it up in my head, and I think I saw what I saw, but my friends saw the same thing. But anyway, so yeah, I forget where I was going with that. I lost track. But in any case, I do believe her story. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So what I experienced was rather peaceful. It was more of a, whatever it was very indifferent to me and my friend John, and it just did its thing. Like, it's almost like it was an echo of something that happened in the past. But they reacted, whatever it was, reacted to us in the car. It stopped, and then it went on its way. Good thing it didn't pass through the car. Holy bejeebus, I would have lost my mind if that happened. But hers was more of a, it seemed, what she was describing it as, I don't want to say threatening, but like, it certainly wasn't peaceful. I'll leave it at that. And then I was thinking, because she even made a comment on my scary stories to tell in the dark, and there's a story in that book, and I can't remember which one, if it's the third book or the second book. It's one of those where there was something going on. It's called the Poltergeist or whatever, where this, and I think she said she was 18 or 17 at the time, 17 I think, so she was technically a teenager. It made me think of this story, and I can't think of the name of it at this point. I think it's called the Poltergeist, where in the story they're investigating why these objects keep moving and all this other stuff, and it turns out in the book with their investigation, it's because it was a teenager and they had anxiety or something at that nature, or something was stressing them, and this psychosis kind of happened where they were moving objects and things were breaking and you couldn't explain it. And that made me think of her. When she explained it, it made me think of that story, and I'm like, wow, that's an interesting take on it. Maybe she has these powers. Anyway, excuse me for the helicopter going above. So I got to think of that. I'm like, well, when she's explaining a story, I'm trying to think of the rational things of what it could be. And like I said, the skeptic or the outside person who just listens to her story is going to say, well, it was obviously faked, or it was staged, or someone was busting her chops somehow and she just didn't know. But I don't believe that myself. I don't believe that. But the outside person is going to think that. So if you cross that out, okay, what could it be next? Is it herself with the telekinesis or the poltergeist type thing? Which is funny, because in the book it explains poltergeist being this teenager that kind of triggers these events and doesn't even realize it. In my mind, it was a poltergeist. It was a spirit that always moved things and played around with you and all that other stuff. So that was one thing that popped in my head. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's it either. But I don't know. I know she experienced something real, and it frightened her, from what I can tell. But I'm so glad she came forward and told her story. And like I said, I hope more people do the same thing. Even me, I'm a skeptic. I'm skeptical of whatever the hell I saw. I don't know what it was. I just know I experienced something, and I can't explain it. But even if someone was being skeptical of my story, I would probably agree with them. Like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. But I know what I experienced and saw. So I don't know. I guess this was what's so hard about ghost stories, right? Proving it and not proving it. I guess if you experience it, feel it, see it, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You know what you saw and heard and felt and everything else, and just go with that, right? Because that's all that matters. The other thing I was going to talk about, what I was alluding to earlier, is maybe I'll make a separate video on this, is with the instruments these paranormal investigators use. I'm kind of skeptical on those being of any accuracy at all, other than them trying to convince themselves they're seeing or hearing what they're seeing. But I can be wrong. I mean, I got to find more research into their instruments that they use. You know, you get that flare camera with the little, it picks out if there's a humanoid shape or some kind of a shape. I'm a little skeptical on that. The EVPs as well. I mean, I have an EVP. When I was talking to my Nana, she passed on. It was several years ago, and I just happened to say Nana while I was recording, and there is this faint something in the background. But if you're trying to trick yourself in your head, you'll hear anything, right? I don't know. But Marissa, thank you for coming forward, telling your story, commenting on mine. That was awesome. That was pretty cool. And I loved your Ed Gein video, who actually inspired a lot of horror movies we all grew up with. It's funny because I don't see Ed as that big of a serial killer, though. He was kind of kooky, obviously, but I mean, making belts out of nipples is a little, I mean, that's a little strange. But Ed did inspire a lot of horrors, you know, Texas Chainsaw, the list goes on and on. I think even Freddy Krueger, I don't know, he inspired a lot of horror movies. What do you call it there? Norman Bates. That's another one. I would say that's the movie that's most closely to Ed and his situation. The other stuff kind of, you know, they take bits and pieces here and there and make the story. But anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about tonight is Marissa's video and her coming forward, telling her story. Also wanted you guys to check out her channel. Her content, well, my pipe smokers might not be into her content too much, but if you like, and although I kind of question that a little bit because my fellow pipe smokers seem to be enjoying my spooky content lately, so you will definitely enjoy her stuff. So check her out. And I think it's pretty cool she did a serial killer thing today on her Wednesday. I think that she does a show every Wednesday, so check her out. Marissa, I hope you don't mind me talking about your story. You can email me anytime or, you know, send me a message if you want to talk a little further if you want. I'm curious to see your next videos when it comes to what led up to these types of things. Because then it makes me think, like the poltergeist story when I was thinking about it. I'm going to have to find it now and point this out. If there were other things triggering stress in your life at that time, did that make you become a poltergeist? I don't know. It's crazy talk on my part. But yes, that's going to do it for tonight. Tomorrow, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, but we're getting soon. We're gonna go investigate the gray ghost or the gray man in Cumberland, my hometown. We're going to venture out there, see if we can find something. Or as my friend would say, see what we can see. So look forward to that. I probably over the weekend. Of course, it's weather dependent. It might rain, but we might go out in the rain anyway. But anyway, that's going to do it tonight. Be sure to check out Marissa's channel, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining me, and take care.